All right, we're Grunkle Josh coming back with the build of the Dune Buggy. We have our front end built here with the roll cage and some aesthetic stuff. We even made a bucket seat last time. And we set it up so that it would have steering on it and working suspension. And now it has a frame and a chassis and a bucket seat. But our goal today is to build something that has the drive motors so it can actually drive forward. So what that's going to look like is like this. So I don't know why just one was going, but we'll fix that later. There we go. Look at all that traction. Yeah. So we're going to be building the powered section of this thing and probably finish the build. So today we're dealing with these motors, and they actually have a left and a right. I thought that was just being cute, but it turns out left and right actually matter. So just pay attention to where you're building those. So step 58. Oh, distraction time. You'll see that the knolling is completely different. The organization is different because I had a different project that I had to do temporarily. Instead of this, I built this. This is the spider bot, and let's see what that does. Little demo here. And it can drive backwards and forwards, and it has four-wheel steering. And so when you want to go somewhere, you can spin in place like that and then drive off into the sunset. I just thought that was amusing. It was for a community center project. One of the other coaches there wants to have something that is about a lot of wheels, and this is a lot of wheels. It even has a working rocker bogie suspension, but it's kind of hard to demo that on this screen. But that was a fun distraction. But now let's get back to work on Dune Buggy. Page 58, or sorry, instruction 58, you need one motor and two of these little pegs. Looks like we're going behind, in, and in. Oh, looks like we're grabbing another motor already and sticking them back together, back to back. And let's see here. Does that make sense? No. Gotta have these go the same direction. There we go. Ooh, that is actually a really nice tight fit together. Left and right. And usually in a car you have one engine and two wheels and a differential gear in between. Lego actually makes differential gear. And I actually shipped it in an extra bag of parts to Mike and Tyler, but this is a differential gear. You drive the middle gear, and then output shafts on both sides will power each wheel with one engine. But mechanically, it's actually easier with electrical motors to just have two motors, one on each side. It makes it twice as powerful. So we have those assembled together. Grab two of these guys here. I'm not sure what to call those, but they take a cross axle on one side and three holes on the other. Two of those, and then four of the black posts. We're actually running low on parts. It's a pretty exciting part of this build. So, looks like we're building an adapter on this. Alright, you flip it around, 2 captive axles. Remember I described some axles have a shoulder on them so they don't fall all the way through things. So I'm going to put it in there and drop it, and it stops right there because it's a captive axle. We're using 2 of those right here. So you flip it around. Sorry, I'm distracted by the instructions. Why does it say flip around? I'm not really sure why it says to flip it around. I'm not sure what I'm looking for here. Oh, you flip it. Oh, okay, you flip it top and bottom. Yeah, that makes sense, because we're going to actually pin a couple of half-width girders in this little pocket in the back. It's a little subtle, but if you don't put these in there, it won't lock these pegs into place. Very satisfying. Let's show that to the camera. Nice. And now the 2 sides are one. Very nice. Then, big shopping list. 1 shouldered and captive axle. 1 of those crossed 3-hole adapters. 1 3/2 girder. 2 cross to posts. And it does have a ball joint specified here, but we already installed the ball joint on here. Yeah? Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to pause this. It's dinner time. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Had to do dinner and stuff. Alright, so where we left off, we were starting to put together the mechanism that holds the axle into the motor, which is important because you'll find when you're playing with these type motors is you can put an axle in the end, but it's real easy to pop it out. They're very lightly held. If these were original Lego, that's a much more solid connection. But again, they very easy to pop these out. So you have to build something to hold it in, and that's what we did on page or on step on step 62. Yeah, that holds that axle in very solidly. So let's do that again, or let's continue that. So we need a knuckle, 2 red axles, and they go like so. This is a very satisfying part. They really lock together when you do this. Oh, nice. I'll even use the pry bar tool that comes with the kit to really push those in, just to save on my fingertips. Alright, 63 is done. 64 is doing the same thing, but on the other side. So I'm going to do that to this side, as promised. So we need a cross to 3 We need a 3 half girder. We need 2 of these 2-post to cross. And we don't have to worry about the ball for the ball socket, because that's attached to the other half of the model. We did that earlier, I think a couple videos ago. Alright, so again, there's sub-steps 1 and 2. And sometimes your cross isn't lined up and down very well. A perfect wrench for that is one of the girders with crosses in the end. See how it's at an angle? But I can use that as a wrench to line it up so it's really up and down straight. Because once it's up and down straight, the next part goes on really easy. Nice. And knuckle 2 short axles that are red. And the knuckle overlaps these 2. And again, I'm using the pry bar tool to push those in, just to save my fingertips. Alright, step 65 done. 2 long bars. This is a little confusing, but you can see I've already done that, the prior step. But these other steps are legit. 2 blues and 2 blacks go into the back of this. And it's important to get them right. You can see how the crosses are sticking out from that prior step. See? Sticking out. And we're going to add the black ones up here. And the blue ones out here. Whenever you stick these in, whenever you stick those in, try to line the cross up and down. So, see how it's tilted a little bit there? I'm just going to rotate that a little bit before I shove it in. There we go. That looks about right there. Same on the other side. I'm going to make sure to turn it so that the cross is straight up and down. There we go. I think that's all the parts. Yeah. Alright. 4 axle. You can see it's the same size. 1 of these. And 1 of these. These are fun because they give you a way to put an axle through one end, right? But then they have a way to stick an axle on the side like this. So you can make a T shape, or you can stick any cross-ended piece in there. Like this is a cross-ended piece, so it can go in the top like that. So it's a really handy little piece we just added there. Let's see. Fortunately, there's a sub direction here. Using the table to put that through. There it goes, so a little bit sticks out each side. Next step takes two straight elbows and two black posts. And on this one, you got to be sure to do it like in the instructions, because you could do it two ways. You can have these holes like this, or like that. But if you do it like that, the next steps don't work. You have to have it up and down like that. Then you stick the posts in below, clicked into place. Alright. Two of the 2-post to 1-cross adapters. Two of the eccentrics. Two of the 2x1/2 girders. 2x1/2 girders. The sub instruction here is fun, because it actually tells you to do the sub instruction 2 times. So you do it 2 times. For this one, I can't really talk you through it. You just have to really look at the picture and make sure you end up with the same thing that's in the picture. A lot of parts here don't have good names for you to describe with. Alright, 2 knuckles. 2 of the cross-to-cross adapters that I was showing before, but instead of a female end to accept an axle, this one has a male end that just has an axle sticking out. So you orient like so, and this is allowed to turn freely, so just watch out for that. Well, that is barely attached. This is very satisfying. You'll notice there's 2 holes for posts. There's 2 crosses down below. Right now, they get snapped on to right here. Oh! And there's also 2 attachment points here and here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 places this attaches to. So that's why it's really important to align those angles on your crosses, because it makes this part very difficult if you don't. So I do a little bit at a time. Click, click. Oh, so these still pivot a little bit. Not a lot, but it's all very solidly put together now. 2 shocks, 2 axles, probably sticking those through a knuckle. And we are. Looks like it's the outer of the knuckles. Outer of the knuckles. And let's go outer of the knuckles. I'm going to stick that one in first. And then put the post through. The axle through. There we go. Finish it off with the pry bar tool. I'm going to compare to the drawing real quick. Yeah. That's what the drawing is. Oh, I almost missed the step. Supposed to take a 7 axle. Got it. I tried all of them. This was the right one. Take a 7 axle and shove it in that. Shove it in that axle holder right there. It's looking like something. Oh, this is cool. That's when the whole thing goes together. Oh, very excited. Oh yeah, it just snaps into place, don't it? These cables start really getting in the way at this point. We might have to use some non-Lego solutions to put those in, to get those in order. You gotta line up like 3 things at once here. You got the hole where the axle goes in. That's part of the suspension for this to move in and out and to be able to twist like this. Don't want this cable stuck down there, so it's got to go over here. That's the steering control cable. Oh, this is awkward. Straight through. I'm using one of these cross-ended pieces as a wrench to twist that into alignment. You have to hold this part from behind to get it to squish on there. Here we go. And then this compresses the shocks a little bit. This next step. Because now the side of the motor is where that socket goes in. Right, like that, the ball and socket. don't really have a good way to talk through this. I just have to do it. Here it goes. Click. This completes the suspension in the rear. Look at that. Also has some freedom to move right and left too. So it really is a pretty clever suspension, up and down, right and left. So it allows twisting, just like a real 4-bar linkage does on a car. And let's see here. We put the car aside. I think we can cheat a little bit. Hold on. I'm going to cheat a little bit, fellas, and take a peek in the future. Yeah. I'm going to put the wheels on. Ha! Looks starting to look like a Dune Buggy. Let's fix this tire over here. That's a disgrace. You can't steer with that. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so that looks good. Looks like we're doing an aesthetic job now. We need 4 axles that are 8 long. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, excuse me. 2 of those cross to post adapters, and then 2 straight elbows. You make 2 of those. And those go in the middle, back here. So we can stick these up here to make like a spoiler, but then they're held in place rigidly by a little floppy, but let me stick those through slightly. Stick, and then stick. All right. I think it's supposed to be a spoiler. It's an aesthetic part. It's part of the overall lines. We might be able to do better than that if we use some aesthetic parts, like what you see here. But for that, you guys would have to share for multiple kits. Another aesthetic step, but it's an aesthetic step with a purpose. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, the blue one goes on the back. Blue one goes on the back. Nice. So these are the headlights, which are actually functional. So it's not completely aesthetic, it's actually something that works. So there's the ones that are on the front, and there's the ones that are up tall, back here. And we cheated and did this step already. They're suggesting we take 2 shaft collars, the yellow ones, stick them in the hubs, probably a good idea, to help hold the axles on. It's time to bring the intelligent brick into play. Let's see what this does. They actually have a wiring diagram. Follow this very carefully for it to work first time the way you expect. It actually indicates AB, AB. B is green, but green means steering motor. So let's find B. This is the steering motor. I can see it wiggling all the way up to the steering motor. So that's B. And it, just like regular Lego, it smashes on top. And that's how it makes an electrical connection. The motors go to A. I'm sorry. The motors go to C. And here's the fun part. These things that you use to attach the intelligent brick, you can attach things electrically in parallel by stacking them. Look at that. This means when A is activated, the wheels will spin. Let's see how we're doing. I'm going to turn this power brick on. Blinking blue light means we're not connected. I take the remote control and steady blue means connected. And if we did this right, when I hit the C button, there's little letters on here. Here's C, and here's D, B, and A. I'm going to hit C, and the wheel should spin. Oh yeah. And they should spin in the same direction. Look at that. Now, take a notice of which way we go. Okay. So when I hit this side of C, the wheels spin forward. So I'm going to hold the remote control like this, forward. If you put the motors in backwards, the only downside of that is you just take the remote control and do this. And then this becomes your remote control for forward and back. Get it? And that makes the front and back work. But it looks like, oh yeah, she's ready to fly. Let me turn that off again. See. Oh, headlights. Headlights will be plugged into A. So that means when you hit the A button, these lights should come on. Let's see how we're doing. So here's the A button. And, well, look at that. So you can send Morse code with it. S, O, S. Accidentally hit the steering button there. This is the headlight button. So, S, O, S. Universal sign of distress. And they actually show you sticking these all the way forward. Through the chassis where the imaginary dude sits and into the pieces behind those lenses. Let's see. So I'm going to shove those right there. Boop. So now when I press C, now when I press A, headlights come on. So one modification that's pretty obvious is taking the headlights and putting them back here as overhead lights, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a good look. But anyways, so that's ready to go. We are electrically one piece here. Turn my remote off. Next step. And then the next one's a little confusing because they just show it going together. Well, what they mean is you're taking the brick, the intelligent brick with all the wires on it, and just shoving it with no ceremony, just shoving it inside. So it's a little silly, but we gotta do it. So, shove, 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 shove. Shove it all the way back up in there. Something's keeping it from moving. You're not supposed to force things. If they don't fit, stop and look again. I twisted it slightly. Oh, goes right in. And then what holds it into place, are these two pegs underneath. Click and click, which is a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. Those don't hold anything inside. It's kind of silly. But it's it's all installed. Make sure that after you shove it and after you put all the cables in, you can still hit the orange button to turn it on with your finger. Also make sure you can get to the USB recharging port, which is right there. So you don't want to block that. It makes it very hard to play with this thing. Sorry, I'm doing a little cable management here. I'm going to bring a non-Lego twist tie, into the mix here. And just tie all this up to the spoiler. We'll even go through one of the holes. There we go. Now the wires are kind of out of the way. Suspension still works. Final step. Play with it. Alright, so I'm following instructions. I'm going to play with it. Turn that on. It's blinking. That means it's not connected to the car. Watch that blinking light there. Right there. I'm going to turn this on by pressing the orange button. Steady blue means it's connected, and there's a steady blue also on this one. So that means they're connected. Watch this, I'm going to turn the remote control off while you can see the blue. See, it's fast blinking because it's not connected. I turn the remote back on. steady blue means it's connected. So you guys have two controls. How it works is whenever you turn one of these on, and then turn one of these on first, they connect. It doesn't matter whose it is. They don't have names on them. They just pair up to each other. So I would recommend maybe writing your name on it or something if you have two of them, or just having both of them together and you just take one, turn it on, turn this on, and that's how you control it. But let's see if it works. Oh yeah. So when I press that way, it steers that way. If I press that way, it steers that way. And then, oh yeah, forward and back. So let's see what happens. It only has one speed. Fast. Ooh. It hit me pretty hard there. But you've actually completed front suspension, rear suspension, the whole thing. It's got some speed to it. Woo! And it's got some steering to it. And it even has headlights on it, because why not? Anyway, I very much enjoy this build. I've done it several times, as you can see from my backdrop. Different styles of build, different buggies. My personal build is slightly different. I actually removed all the aesthetic parts right there. And then on my personal build, I hard mounted the power brick closer to the center of gravity, just to make the handling a little bit better. I also upgraded the battery inside. One of the problems you have with these Legos that are built in China is their quality assurance is not as good as the ones from Denmark, and they are much cheaper because of that. And when I got this one and I put it together, I found out the brick was dead. So I took the intelligent brick apart, and I found out the only problem was the battery. So I took out the lithium-ion batteries that were in. I removed those, and I installed lithium polymer batteries. When I checked the USB charging, it still charges normal. Lithium polymer and lithium ion are approximately compatible for charging at a slow speed. Not fast charging, but slow speed charging is the same. So anyways, that's my personal build, which makes it slightly faster. So that's my cheat, is my battery is a little bit more high performance on this, because I had to fix it. It's in my nature. Well, anyhow, that's how this thing goes. It's pretty cool. I love how big it is. It's it's Lego, but it's huge. I think it's a very respectable model, and they don't have anything like this. If you go to Lego, they don't have anything like this. You can buy the parts for this. It costs about $270 if you buy the individual pieces that do what this does from Lego. It's about $270. The exception, though, is the brick. Because even though the Lego version has its own remote control, it's called Power Functions, so it has a remote control. The Power Functions remote control does not have Bluetooth. And why Bluetooth? Well, if you look inside your instruction manual, there's a QR code. And if you scan this QR code with your smart device, tablet or Android or iPhone or iPad, it'll take you to a place to download the app for this, and that requires its own video by itself. Is the is how to do the app, because if you use the app, that allows you to control the speed. It's not just one speed. You can have like up to 10 speeds on it. It also allows you to have different mixes to how this goes together. And I have a theory that the app lets you drive faster, but we'll have to test that on a different video involving just the app by itself. But yeah, I'm really happy how it turns out. And as long as I don't get distracted by another, spidery robot project, you should be able to expect that video very soon for for how to use the app with this. I've been your Grunkle Josh. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this long. Let's see how long until we can get that next video up. Make sure you turn it off. Click and click. All right, good night.